Hello, welcome back to another episode of Charla Football. I'm your host as always. With me, Tomas. Happy to have you back on the pod, Tomas. Let's talk about the Liguilla quarterfinals that went down this weekend. So much action. We saw Toluca going through America, Tigres, and there's the controversy there that we're going to talk about, and then Cruz Azul as well. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys subscribe, like, check out all the platform links down below. Let's hop over to Monterrey versus Toluca. I think this is probably the most action-packed game because there's so much quality on both teams. You're looking at a team like Monterrey. You have guys like Ramos who wasn't able to play because of an injury problem. You have Canales, De Osa, Ocampo, so many quality players at this Monterrey team, and just were not able to perform, have not performed under the Michelis, which is why it led to him getting sacked, which we'll get into. But Toluca, first and foremost, bro, they're easily the best team in this Liga so far.
No, yeah, I completely agree. We've seen this last Liguilla as well. Not last Liguilla, last Liga
Through the
MX.
season, no?
They were the best. Even switching coaches, I feel like the style has drastically changed.
Yeah.
But I feel like Toluca have gotten a lot better defensively than they were with the Brazilian coach.
We say that even though they still got scored on 4 times. But at the end of the day, I think it's just, and I think the craziest thing is them going down a man early into the match, especially in the second leg. You go down a man 20 minutes into the match, a stupid challenge from Helinho, the Brazilian, and then you're conditioned the whole match to play with 10 players. But the way they went at it, bro, it was just insane.
And then you got Antonio Briseño arguing on the sidelines and getting a second red for the team.
Yeah. It was just so much drama that happened in the match. But it was a great spectacle to see. But just the way Toluca were able to hold on, react, because it's not like Monterrey made it an easy game. Monterrey were a difficult team, especially given the individuals that they have. Because as a collective, you could see Monterrey had nothing. Like they could not play through Toluca. But it was just individual moments that kind of stuck up the most for that team. But Toluca, go for it.
I just thought that, given the circumstances, Toluca really showed what they were able to do. A player down, and they're playing at the same level as Monterrey was.
Mm-hmm. It didn't even look like they were a player down.
I'm saying
it looked like Monterrey had a player down, if anything.
Is Toluca with a player less just making the game even at that point?
For real, because you saw the way Alexis Vega specifically just carried the team, and that first goal that he scored, not just a beautiful goal, but it's just a play that was constructed all by him, and he said, I'm gonna carry this team. And Alexis Vega is a player that's heavily criticized when they get to these instances because Toluca and Vega just never show up when it comes to Liga. And it's been a while since we've seen them actually pull something off like this. As coming up against a Monterrey team, you wouldn't have been surprised if Monterrey went through and knocked out Toluca, because when it comes to this instance, they tend to choke. But Vega just was you know what? This is my time to shine. He has the captain's armband, and what he pulled off, it was just spectacular. The way he brings down the ball with his chest, taking on 2-3 players past the goalie, was just brilliance, bro. Just absolute brilliance.
Yeah. There's really nothing you can say about it. This is something similar we've seen in the regular season from him, where he dribbled 3-4 players, but just to do it in this instance against a strong Monterrey side, it was different.
Given that performance, I think Toluca are still favorites. They ended in first place. They were the better team with less players, and now they're going to come up against a Tigres team, but we'll talk about more into the video. But now going to Monterrey real quick, it was a poor performance, a game that they should have won, at least. But it makes sense why the Michelis is now gone. They're going to have to look for a new coach. There's a lot of coaches on the market looking at Almada after the Mundial de Clubes. Torrent as well, who's not been confirmed with Chivas yet. Anselmi, who was let go over there at Porto as well. So there's a lot of possibilities for them to bring in a better coach than Demichelis, to be honest.
Yeah, there's plenty Liga MX coaches that they've either abandoned their projects or have been fired. And Monterrey, I feel like the top 2 ones that I've seen at least were Almada and Torrent. They're the ones that have the most contact in with other teams.
Yeah, Demichelis just overall he had never stepped up for this team.
I don't remember
when they went to the final. It was just kind of the panzazo. We were just as shocked that they made it there.
what really helped them was that them ending in a high kind of like a high rank in that final because they got to play most games home or they got to
Mhm.
close most games home.
Yeah. But overall, like I mean, when it goes tactically, man management, there's nothing there. He never showed anything. I mean, you could tell like towards the end of the season with all the rumors going around that the vestidor was like completely broken. I mean, that's how they played. They didn't play as a team. It was just pure individuals, individual brilliance that would make them just kind of get through. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think this is the right move for Monterrey. They have to move forward. Looking at the Club World Cup, they need a coach like a pure tactician, someone to actually come in there and make a difference. Because I mean, the money that they've invested in this fucking club, bro, they cannot just go without a trophy to show for it.
I mean, it's been millions and millions of dollars. They're the team with the most expensive plantilla over
Yeah,
America, which is insane. I just don't see how you can invest so much in players, but not so much in your first your youth development, and second, a strong like a coaching team, like a strong coaching team, not just the strong coach, but the whole staff.
yeah. Yeah, they're gonna have to look heavily at that because they could bring in whoever. I mean, if they were able to bring in a player like Ramos, you can bring in whoever as a coach as well.
No, yeah,
So
for sure.
we'll see what happens. We'll definitely keep you guys updated with rumors and stuff like that when it comes to Monterrey and their coaching staff. At the end of the day, it was a great game. Great start to the Liguilla with that match specifically. Now going to Pachuca versus America, the first leg ending in a 0-0, and then a second leg where America were just dominant. There was Pachuca looked like they never stood a chance against America, which is fucking crazy because like in the regular season, Pachuca played a great match against America. I don't remember if they won or tied, but I remember that Pachuca. I mean, when you think of Pachuca and America, you think that Pachuca is probably the only team that America has a headache against.
Yeah,
But in the Liguilla, just I don't know what happened. They just didn't show up. I don't know if it was because America had more rest. I don't know if you remember, but Pachuca went to like Ecuador to play a game against Guayaquil, I think, Barcelona de Guayaquil. So
yeah,
they
yeah.
traveled like all the way to South America and then back to Mexico. I don't know if that had something to do with it too, maybe like tired legs, but they just didn't look at their best like this tie.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to pinpoint, but the only thing that we could really say for sure what happened is what we saw, and that was just a subpar Pachuca team, which was clearly missing De Osa, and that's about it. I feel like De Osa would have been that factor that they could have built out through because I mean we see them trying to get the ball forward, but they were just unable to. I mean, Montiel looked overwhelmed in the midfield. It was a lot of little things.
Yeah. Because overall, when you look at individuals, because both teams play very similar, like high press, trying to get the ball, playing quick. But when it comes to something when both teams play very similar, it's just the individuals that are just like whoever has the better individual. And at the end of the day, America do have better players line for line. And I mean that's pretty much what showed. And it was literally the tie was done in 20 minutes in the first. Like Zendejas was just brilliant, and it's so sad to see because obviously he's capped to US and he could have been called up to Mexico. I think a player like him, it should have been a player that should have been playing for Mexico already, like at some point, because he's not even getting called up to the US, but he is a very brilliant player. Like he could be playing in Europe within the next few years, if not this summer.
Yeah, but the thing is that I don't think he'd be able, or he would want to go to Europe. I feel like he's very comfortable where he's at,
Mhm. I
and
mean,
I
the
don't
money
see.
is probably getting paid there, like getting worshipped like a god, probably.
You just think about it when a player from the Americas, whether it's from Argentina to Canada, goes to Europe, they have to prove themselves there. Whereas in America, he already proved himself. He's gonna be getting paid for up until I mean he's a used to them.
Mhm.
So I mean that's just my point of view on it. And the fact that he doesn't get called up to the U.S. national team, I mean it just shows that they prefer you going to Europe. They prefer the European player as long
Even
as
the even
their
the
development.
MLS players, because they call up a lot of MLS players, but the fact that Pochettino hasn't even really thought of Zendejas like that, at least in recent call-ups, I think it's crazy because maybe over here in Mexico it would have been a different story. But it is
Sendejas
what it is.
is easily the second or third best winger they have. I think so.
Even in Liga MX, I think he's like at least top five.
I think he's top five, but I'm just saying for the U.S. men's national team, if you put their best wingers, he's second or third.
Yeah, because Pulisic, and then who else like right under him?
I mean,
Zendejas could be up there.
Gio Reyna plays on the wing. Sometimes that's the only way. That's the only way I see a second best player.
Yeah, no, he was cooking in this match for sure. I mean, the second goal, it was the cross from Kevin Alvarez, who looks like he's back in good form, which is good to see. But that cross from Kevin Alvarez, I thought he overshot it, but it was actually Fours, and that has like the way like he slid for that ball, hit the fucking post, and like it was a good goal and it was just like brilliance from both players. But yeah, overall, America just were completely better than Pachuca. Pachuca, like I said, just didn't stand a chance, didn't look like they were there mentally. Like they didn't look like they could compete at all, and especially down a player like I think Idrisi had gotten a red card in the 45th minute or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it was it was going to be very difficult. And then go for it.
I mean, it was just a difficult situation because Idrisi, their second best player on that squad is getting a red card, which honestly I see it, but he just loses his head, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like it's in a game like that where you can't lose your head, especially being an experienced, important player in the squad. When you like as a young player, because they play with a lot of young players, you see that you kind of feel like, oh fuck, like we're maybe not losing this match, but the environment, like your sensation of the game, kind of probably tends to go down a little bit at
Oh,
that
yeah.
point.
I mean, completely.
And then, I mean, just a crazy stat looking at America when it comes to Liguilla and Jardine specifically. Whenever he's taken America to Liguilla, he's only lost one time. The 10 wins, 9 draws. It shows how consistent this America team is going to Liguilla. Will they achieve the tetracampeonato? I'm not sure. We'll see what happens because they're going to face a very difficult team in Cruz Azul. It's a rematch of what we saw last season. And right now, I think Cruz Azul have the upper hand given that they just recently knocked them out of the Conca Champions. I feel like they still play a little bit better football than America. But we'll get right into that. Before, let's go to Necaxa versus Tigres. A first leg that was so disappointing, 0-0. Necaxa were slightly better, I would say, with not Nahuel Guzman being the best player. And it's kind of like same thing happened in the second leg too, where the game didn't have too much until Tigres found the opening goal, and then Necaxa were kind of forced to go all out, and that's when the game opened up. You saw it go back and forth, and the game just got crazy. Nahuel Guzman again in this game was the best player, and not only for the saves but also the play that was provoked through him, like in the second goal to tie the match. But before we get into it, I mean that game just overall was just literally all over the place. Like bangers, you saw Palavecino score an absolute banger as well. At that point, you thought Necaxa were gonna go through possibly because they had like the pendulum was just swinging their way. I don't know what like Necaxa. Honestly, I feel like they deserved it.
Honestly, yeah. Like there's games where you see a team that dominates and that pushes forward, and
Yeah.
that's that. It gave that feeling of seeing a team that usually not advance this time.
Like especially like 80th minute, Necaxa scored the second one, which was gonna force Adidas to score like one goal in the last few minutes, and you thought Necaxa were just gonna hold on to dear life, which was what they were doing pretty much. At that point, I thought it was game over. I was like, oh shit, like Necaxa's through. Like, and I was happy for them because like you're used to seeing always like Tigres, Cruz Azul, America going through, like the big guys always going through, but like Necaxa were like the underdogs basically, and it's always awesome to root for the underdogs, especially because they play great football at that too. So it sucks what happened in the next play.
That would have also been the only upset of this whole time because the top four advanced.
Exactly, and it was just the way it ended to me was so unjust and unfair. Now I'm not a rules expert. I'm not a referee. I don't know the every single law of the game like that, but I mean, what happens in the box, I think was so unfair towards Necaxa. Yeah, like, I don't know. Give me your opinion on that because that sucks to me.
I mean, the rule from the top of football is Real Madrid being the biggest club, they get all the calls. In this sense, Tigres is a bigger club than Necaxa, they get all the calls.
Especially being at their home with like the whole stadium, just like at that point, like so what they're looking at first they're looking to see if the Necaxa or if the Tigres player takes the ball out of the goalkeeper's hands, which you see in the VAR when they go to check it that's not true. The goalkeeper actually fumbles. The goalkeeper should have done a lot better in that situation because in my opinion, like if he handles that ball, there wouldn't be no check, there wouldn't have been a goal, nothing. Necaxa would have been through. But before we get to that instance, like 5 seconds before, there's the shot that I think it was Ibanez is trying to like chase after the ball. He hits the goalkeeper. He kind of pulls out of the play, but at the end of the day, he still hits the goalkeeper, even if he's trying to pull out of the play. And it's inside of the 6-yard box. And like growing up, and even now to this day, anytime there's a foul or anytime you touch the goalkeeper in his 6-yard box, it's always in favor for the goalkeeper.
I mean, even on corner kicks, you see players jump straight up, but if they're in the goalie's way trying to grab the ball, they usually call a foul on them.
Yeah, and I was hearing people saying, "Well, the goalkeeper didn't have possession of the ball," but like, it doesn't matter. Like you can't touch the keeper in the 6-yard box, and even if it's on accident, or if you weren't trying, or if you were pulling out in the last minute, like in the play, you see he hits him, I think, in the hand, and then he like steps on his thigh as well. Like obviously not with full force enough to hurt him, but it's what you see happen. It's still a foul. That's why I thought it was unjust. That's why I think it should have been a foul. That's why I think Necaxa should have been the team to go through. Plus, they play better football than Tigres. Tigres have been just poor at this end of the season. Like I feel like when Guido Pizarro took over, maybe like the first few matches, they started to like look a little better with Paunovic, moving out. But they kind of just went back to that same team. There's very stagnant, boring style of play.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's what you expect from Tigres at that point. But I mean, for those people that are saying that because he didn't mean to touch him is a foul, so if I accidentally kick a player in the penalty box, it's not a penalty; it's still a penalty.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you meant to do it or didn't mean to.
Doesn't matter if it's hard or not. If I trip him, if I touch him, and it impedes him to compete for the ball, it's a penalty.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, not trying to get into referees and all this stuff, but Marco Ortiz, El Gato, every time there's a game that he officiates, there's always something. There's always something that he tries to maybe doesn't try to be the protagonist of the match, but there's always something to talk about when it comes to a match that he's officiating.
What I've noticed in Liga MX refs is that they always try to make the game about themselves. And we have Alonay Escobedo right there, like you said, El Gato Ortiz, another infamous one. I mean, there's plenty of refs that are famous throughout Mexico, and for that fucking reason.
Yeah. The only one that I feel like is the best of the best is Cesar Ramos. I think he's the only, we see him officiating in all types of competitions, nationals competitions, FIFA competitions. Like, there's a reason he's up there.
No, yeah, for sure.
I just hope going to semifinals and then the final, there isn't any more instances like this, because I felt like Necaxa were done hard in this situation.
Completely agree.
Now, lastly, to wrap things up, let's go to León versus Cruz Azul. This was another banger match, a 2-1 win for Cruz Azul, with Cruz Azul getting the win through an own goal. But at the end of the day, Cruz Azul were the better team. León have been falling off for the past week since the Mundial de Club news, and I mean there was no way they were going to recover from what happened, from all that, And like we've been talking about off of camera. Like just both you and me, we know, like even as a fan or as a player, like when you get that news, like at that point you just kind of feel like, damn, like what is there to play for?
Exactly.
It sucks as a León fan, as a León player probably, but I mean you're going to Liguilla, you could probably still get paid out if you keep advancing. At the end of the day, Cruz Azul were the better team. They have better individuals, and they showed that in both legs.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there's really nothing we could say. Cruz Azul was better.
I think
Montaño, what a player.
Yeah, no, the banger that he scored, the first leg, the two bangers that he scored in the first leg, actually, was just he's an incredible player. It's great to see him get some minutes, because I thought he was completely erased from the Cruz Azul squad until just recently started getting back into the team, and yeah, he's been responding to Vicente Sanchez's call. But as for León, I think just the most disappointing part was their defense, especially their goalkeeper in the first half and the first leg. Just completely poor. Like I think there could have been at least 2 goals that could have been avoided if they had a better goalkeeper. And overall, I mean, for León, it was just sad to see them go out the way they did.
León was exciting because for the first 7 matches they were in first place, 7-8 matches, which is pretty much usually when you hit that 8-9 match mark is when, I mean, it usually stays like that or similar to that. Mm-hmm. And León, I mean, they completely just fell down.
Yeah. I mean, Cruz Azul, right now, their tendency is going up.
Exactly.
Going to the CONCACAF Champions League final. They have a lot to play for, knocking out their rivals in America. And now with this win against León going into the semifinals, it's going to be. I think they're just going to keep going up, and we'll see what happens. They can possibly get the revenge in the Clásico Joven, another Clásico Joven in Liguilla in this year. Like, I think it's been like a whole year where we've gotten like 9 or more Clásico Jóvenes, which is pretty great to see. Yeah. But will Cruz Azul be able to overcome that demon? I guess we'll find out. Do you think they'll be able to do it?
I mean, they did it, but my thing is I don't know if they'll be able to do it in Liga MX because America is heavily favored here. I mean, we've seen that when you give them a neutral ref, Cruz Azul is able to advance, but when you give them a Liga MX ref, he succumbs to the pressure of the stadium. He succumbs to the pressure of what America is. It's just different.
Yeah. So let's talk about the predictions then. So for Cruz Azul America, who goes through to the final?
I feel like Cruz Azul is able to get it done, but it's going to be difficult.
I agree.
I think it's their time. I feel like if any team deserves a Liga MX title in these past two years, these past 4 seasons, it's Cruz Azul. Yeah. They're the ones that suffered the most. They made it to a final. They made it to 3 semifinals after that. It's difficult. But I feel like they deserve it the most because they've been the team that has been in those instances the most that has not won it.
I agree. And I think you used the perfect word. They suffered the most out of all the teams, maybe besides Toluca, but they've that like those fans, the players, they've suffered so much. Even like their coach leaving mid-season, they've gone through a lot, And Vicente Sanchez has come in, has made the team look even better than what they were, and I think if there was a time to do it, I think this is the season to do so. The only thing is that America right now, they look hot too. They're firing on all cylinders, and it's gonna make for an amazing match. There's no doubt. I think Cruz Azul, because they already knocked them out in Conca Champions, I think they just have the slight edge. But yeah, it's gonna be a very tight match for sure. And now looking towards Tigres versus Toluca, I think this is a no-brainer. But I'll ask you first.
I think it's Toluca.
Yeah.
Because Tigres and Volcán, La Ida, it's always 0-0. And I feel like Toluca going back home to Nemesio 10, I feel like it's going to be wraps.
It's wraps. Yeah, especially if they don't get a red card in this game.
Yeah. Even if they get a red card, they might win 3-0.
It's just like when you look at Tigres and you look at Toluca, first off, individually, I feel like Tigres might have a few individuals just slightly better, but it's just they don't look like a team. They don't play really like a team the way Toluca does. And I think also experience has a lot to do with it. Guido Pizarro retired mid-season to become a coach. And then you look at Turco Mohamed, he's a decorated coach in Liga MX. He has won at every single club that he's coached at. So I think it's just now it's gonna be Turco's. It's gonna be experience at this point that's gonna help them get to the next edge. On top of great football, on top of players that have experience and that are in the best moments of their life. Looking at Alexis Vega specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it's just difficult, but I mean, we're gonna see Guido Pizarro's ability to be a coach now. We're gonna see his true ability because, I mean, we've seen it throughout the season, but this is like a real test. This is Liguilla versus one of the most experienced coaches that we have right now in Liga MX. Mm-hmm. He's coached America. He's coached Monterrey. He's coached a lot of teams. Mm-hmm. I just don't see Guido Pizarro being able to beat Turco Mohamed, at least on table. He's gonna need something from his players.
Yeah, and the players right now just
exactly
kind of mid. Not gonna lie. So yeah, I completely agree. I guess that means the final will be Toluca versus Cruz Azul, which would be. I mean, if you had made that prediction in the beginning of the season, it sounds about right.
I mean, yeah, looking at the table, it doesn't sound too far off. Looking at the recent table right now, it would be 1 versus 2 with America, but I just feel like Cruz Azul has that edge that they already beat them and they know how to beat them now, or they're not afraid as they once were.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, that's pretty much it. Let us know what you guys think. What are your predictions? Who will move on to the final? Let us know what your predictions are for the matches as well, score lines and all that. I will respond. We will respond. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, check out all the platform links down below. We will be back for the semifinal recaps. So make sure you guys tune in. I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you, Tomas. Peace out.